Hi, are you a first-time home buyer, or maybe you know a first-time home buyer? 2025 is halfway through the year here, and we still are having many clients, first-time home buyers that is, that are concerned. And one of their number one concerns is home affordability. And how many of my clients are dealing with that is they're just adjusting their expectations. So in other words, many of them are considering going a little bit further out, maybe looking at areas like Queen Creek, Santan, Buckeye, Maricopa even, in an effort to maybe get just a little bit better price on the home. Sellers in those areas tend to be more willing to work with you, maybe cover some of your closing costs, which can help. Because I know interest rates are still high, home prices are still high, but sometimes if we just adjust our expectations, maybe look at smaller homes, things of that sort, just to get into the housing market. One analogy that I've used often is think of the housing market as a merry-go-round. The most important thing is to get on. And then because once you're on, now you're going to start appreciating in value along with all your other homes that are around you. And eventually, you can sell that, move into that next home. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the perfect home when you're buying that first one. So many of my first time home buyers are just adjusting their expectations. That's the best way I can put it. Obviously, another concern is rates are still high, relatively speaking. Now, while they've stabilized, that's helping, I think, make people feel a little bit more comfortable. And we continue to see them, kind of inch their way down. Again, one of the main things here is just get into the house, because you can always refinance it down the road if rates do eventually improve, as many are expecting. But also with that, if rates come down, that's also going to increase demand, making things even a little bit more difficult. Which brings me to my next concern that a lot of first-time homebuyers are having, which is, the overall inventory. And the reality is we've seen an uptick here in the last several months to where now there's more homes available, sellers are a little bit more willing to negotiate, etc. So those concerns should be easing a little bit because, again, we're starting to see more inventory. But now going back to the rates, if rates do start to drop down and do start to improve, that's going to be good, obviously, but it's also going to have a negative impact in so much that it's going to make more people be willing to take that chance, get into the market, and it's going to increase demand. When that demand increases, now all of a sudden you're going to be possibly dealing with bidding wars, things of that nature. I'm not saying it's going to happen, I'm just saying it could, because as more people come in, now they're still vying over a relatively small number of homes. So while it's increased, it's not at a level that it was even pre-pandemic. And then the last thing that I want to point out to many of my first-time homebuyers, a concern that they have, is making sure they fully understand the full cost of home ownership. Obviously, you have your monthly mortgage payment. That kind of goes without saying. But there's other costs that are associated with owning a home. Just make sure you're doing your research, checking those things out, getting a good sense as to what some of those other expenses may be. If you find a home you like, you can always reach out to the utility company, SRP, APS. You can get what the average bill has been over the last 12 months to kind of get a sense of what that might be looking like on any given month. So there's ways you can research that and get that information so that you can have a total picture as to what you're looking for. If, again, you're a first-time home buyer, or if you know someone that is a first-time home buyer and this information would be helpful, please feel free to share it with them. Please, if you also like this information, do me a favor, subscribe to our page here. We'd greatly appreciate that as well. I'm gonna leave you with this final thought, which is, look, if you have questions, whether you're a first-time home buyer or not, if you have any questions regarding the mortgage process, how it works, what's going on with rates, where do we see rates going, anything mortgage related, anything housing related, please feel free to reach out. You can always call us, text us. We're always here to answer your questions, always here to help. We look forward to hearing from you soon. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.